Hey everybody, what's going on? Vinny Cuz here. And today I'm going to give you what I feel and a consensus of drivers that I drive with feel are the best 3 tips for new drivers starting out. So without any further ado, let's get into it. First tip is knowing how to manage your time on the apps. Now, what I mean by that is not all times of the day are going to give you a better opportunity to get rides and make money. And one of the things you need to be able to do is to take advantage of the bonuses and the events in your area. Now, I got a couple of things with this, right? So when you open up the Lyft app, it's now showing you where events are in your area. So as you can see today, there's a baseball game down in Miami. Whatever little guarantees they got, which that's kind of irrelevant. But down here, you also see expected high times for requests. So different times of the day, as you can see here, about 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, there's not a lot going on. Again, over here about midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, not a lot going on. But in these higher times, you can see, right, when ride demand, they expect it to be heavy. So that's the time you want to work. Also, when you get into your schedules, and I've showed this to you before, we don't worry about earning points. We care about the money. 6 to 7 o'clock tonight, 3 ride streak. That's an opportunity that you want to be out there. And as you can see, when you go back here to their expected time, well, 1,700 for you non-military personnel is 5 o'clock. So between 6 and 7, they anticipate a high demand. So it's something you can get in there and do real quick. If you're a new driver and you're trying to, hit that bonus, and a lot of people have been actually taking advantage of the Lyft onboarding link that I put out. So for you people especially, my tips for you is don't be afraid to take Lyft shared rides and just stack the rides. You're not worried about doing anything but hitting that number of rides. I think right now it's 140 rides in 30 days. Take the Lyft shared and just keep taking those rides, taking those rides. Unless you don't feel comfortable, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Same thing for Uber, right? Uber, although they don't give us, when there's an event in your area, they will go ahead and put a little tent over that area. And so that's a real opportunity for you to get rides. But what Uber is doing here is they'll tell you we have 3 major airports down here. So at Fort Lauderdale Airport, they expect 22 flights. Now, a word about the airports, you'll always check the queue, and you'll see that there's always a lot of drivers sitting in there, depending on the platform. But again, if you're new, the only platforms available to you until you get X amount of rides in is to go ahead and hit the X platform or the Lyft platform. And what we've noticed, and everybody knows this, there aren't a lot of drivers on the entry-level platforms. So by checking this, you can see that at 6 o'clock, there's a high probability there's not going to be a lot of X cars in that queue or Lyft cars in that queue. And you want to run in there. If you're in the area, go ahead and grab yourself a ride. A lot of times, these rides are either going to be really short or they're going to have some distance to them. One thing new drivers aren't aware of is what they call a short trip protection. So if you're within, I believe it's 4.5 miles or 5 miles of the airport to your drop off, if you're within that range, Uber and Lyft will send you a notification and let you know, listen, you have short trip protection. You have X amount of time, it's usually 1 hour, to get back into the queue, and you will go right to the top of that queue. Where this is an advantage for you is on the basic platforms, a lot of times it's surging. So you'll get a little bonus on top of that. You'll be first in the queue. More than likely, not guaranteed, but more than likely you'll have either surge or a Lyft bonus on top of it. And as long as those rides keep coming in like that, I've had 4 or 5 back-to-back short trip protections. I come right in the queue, boom, right back out of the queue. So just something to think about in that respects. But also another thing, you need to be checking all the things that are going on in your area, right? Not just busy times like rush hour and things of that nature, but events. And what I do, as you can see here, right on my thing. So I know exactly what's going on at the Florida Live Arena, right? I know exactly what's going on at the Hard Rock. And you should be checking this weekly and putting it into your calendar. I know exactly what's going on up in West Palm. These, for me, are my 3 event areas that I will go and work. So, one thing to think about. All right, that's number 1. Number 2. Hold on. Boom. You have to remember, you got to treat this like a business and not like a job. And what I mean by that is, you know, on a normal job, you have a set schedule. And a lot of times when you're transitioning from a set schedule, whether it be 9 to 5, 10 to 6, 8 to 4, you know those are your hours you're going to work. With the ride-sharing apps, it doesn't work that way. You have to create your schedule around what we just talked about. Events, ride bonuses. You know, by doing it that way, you can break your day apart. You might work 3-4 hours in the morning, airport trips, cruise port terminals, rush hour. And then in the evening, again, airport might be low on queue wherever they're expecting the highest number of flights coming in. Again, this is geared towards new drivers, not the old school guys, not the old heads. That's number 1. Number 2, when you're out doing these rides, you know you are not obligated to pick up a rider. And what I mean by that is, so say you're going to, maybe you're working overnight and you're going by a bar and you're already a little apprehensive. But when you pull up, if you can see that your rider is just like completely inebriated, drunk, is already kind of hostile, maybe there's 2 or 3 people there and one of them just doesn't look right to you, listen, when you pull up, keep your doors locked, obviously, verify who your rider is, and then make a decision, right? Do I want to take the chance of this guy puking in my car or starting trouble? Now, that's not judging them based on, you know, all the stuff that you're not supposed to base it on. This is just assessing the situation, seeing if this guy looks ripped up or not, or this young lady looks ripped up or not, and whether you want to deal with that. Because, listen, there's plenty of YouTube videos online that shows you all about rides going wrong. But at the same time, you're not obligated to that because you're an independent contractor. So what you can do is use your gut instinct. If something in your gut is telling you something's wrong about that person, it probably is. So that's number 2. And that ties into the third part of this tip. You know, be aware of your surroundings. Like if you get a request, you accept the request, and it's taking you down a dark alley, what do you think? No, cancel the trip. Put in the reason why, maybe, you know, unable to get to the location, too dangerous to pick up, whatever you got to do. But the one thing you have to keep in mind is, as a new driver, you know, and this is going to tie into our third tip, which let me bring that up real quick. You have to manage your expectations. You have to have some patience with this. You're a new driver. The algorithm from either Uber or Lyft is now trying to understand your driving habits. Every ride you take, every ride you accept, every ride you might cancel. Also, what these riders are rating you at, which I know can be extremely ambiguous and unfair at times. And I've got a guest coming up later this week that we're going to talk about how he was deactivated and then reactivated on a rider complaint. But you have to understand that it has to learn you. It's going to try to figure out how far you're willing to travel for a ride, whether it's 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And depending on where you live, right, in what part of the country, your city, you know, those rides could take you 20 minutes to get to, and the guy might only be going 5 minutes. You don't know. So the algorithm has to learn all of this. And as it's learning that, you have to be patient also. Because not every ride you get is going to be a home run. It's not going to be a 20, 30-mile trip. It might only be 2 or 3 miles. But there again, if you're a brand new driver, you're trying to hit the big bonus, right? I think right now it's 140 rides in 30 days, and they guarantee you $1,800. Well, if you do the math on that, and say you take 140 short trips. Here, let's bring up a calculator here. So let's say 140 trips times, we'll say $5. Times 5 right? That's 700 bucks. If you take 140 minimum trips or shared rides, right? That's going to pay, and they pay out an average of $5 per ride. That's only $700. But your guarantee right now is $1,800. So there's an $1,100 swing there that'll help you get your money right, because that should be your goal as a new driver, is to make those rides. But you're going to pick up an extra $1,100, right? And then you can worry about building up to the higher platforms. So you go in these Facebook groups and you'll see guys they're posting they're making, $800, $1,000, $1,500, or they might have a ride that paid them $200, $300, $400. Well, most times those rides are from people that are driving on XL, Lux, Premier SUV, Lux Black XL. You're not there yet. As a new driver, you have to put in, I want to say it's 50 rides on the basic platforms. So build yourself up to that by doing the basic platforms. And by the way, everybody started there. You'll get the hang of it, and then you can decide if this is something that you want to continue. You might just want to make the quick money. A lot of people don't drive this full time. And if they're driving this full time, trust me, they're on the upper platforms. But you got to put in the work before you can get there. All right. So the last thing I want to bring up is a bonus tip. And this I got from my guy out in Arizona, and you can follow his channel there. I will link him down below. It's a cool dude I ran across, obviously through YouTube. And what he was talking about was doing business cards with QR codes on the back. So this isn't about you wanting to take quote unquote private rides. But a lot of people, and there's a lot of videos out there that'll explain to you or try to convince you that Uber and Lyft are keeping your tips. What you can do is, if the guy's going to tip you or if the rider's going to tip you, hand him a business card with your Cash App QR code, your Venmo QR code, maybe you're in crypto, so a Bitcoin or a Litecoin QR code on the back and the front, and they can just scan it and tip you directly. I think that's a hell of an idea. And so my cards are in the mail, by the way. So yeah, that's what I got. Quick video. Listen, anybody using my referral code, if you got any questions about how to get started, feel free, leave a comment down below or send me an email. You can email me through the YouTube channel. And trust me, I will be more than happy to help you out. All right, with that said, I'm out. Peace. We'll have 2-3 more videos coming out in the next 7 days. Appreciate you. Be safe.